Yo, we are back with another episode, a Perfect Political Storm podcast. Guys, thank God that this debate was coherent. You could hear people formulate sentences. Wasn't like the presidential debate at all, which was a mess. There was a couple interruptions here and there. There wasn't perfect. Definitely some critique going on around, especially with the moderator who was just terrible. At the end of the day, you could have just let them sit there and discuss themselves, because the moderator didn't. All she did was ask questions. They didn't even answer them, and she didn't even say, "Oh, stop, answer my question." She just went on to the next question. So it's kind of like, why are you there? At the end of this, like three people were having their own conversation, because even each other, they barely answered each other. It was a bit weird, but it was a lot better than the last debate, and we are going to get into it. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to recap everything that happened, but I'm just going to give my analysis of what happened. I'm going to try and insert some clips inside, but I can't lie. The last time I tried to insert some clips, it crashed my whole laptop down. So I might just have to stick to the images. So I will try and do that. But I need you first to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you want to have a discussion, and make sure you share it with anyone if you liked what was going on here. Just like, comment, and subscribe. That'll be very helpful. This will be available on all DSPs, the podcast version, so Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, all of those should be available on there, so you can listen to it if you're going to go on a run, or if you're in a car journey, whatever. But this is a Perfect Political Storm podcast, and we're going to talk about the debate between the Vice President Mike Pence and the Senator from California, Kamala Harris, who's the Democrats' vice presidential candidate. So, first of all, it was a lot of build up. And they had, Trump and people in the White House had COVID, so they put a glass between them, which when I zoomed out and I looked at it, and I'm thinking, what's this glass gonna what's this glass gonna block? If this guy has COVID, everyone has it in the air. Like, the glass ain't gonna do nothing. It's not even like a cage. It's like literally just one, like, I wouldn't say A4, but it's one glass just standing there. I'm thinking, what the hell? But yeah, they came onto the stage. Both of them physically look very good. Like, I think I would say that because, in contrast to the presidential one, where it's like two old man, with Joe Biden, he looks very. I need to stop repeating that he's old, but he looks, aged. Then you have Donald Trump, who's just crazy, and he's got the orange fake tan. There's just a lot of things going on both sides before, but this one looked a lot better. And I'll say that um, they both delivered. I feel like, Kamala Harris had high expectations, because it was a poll that just came out that said that the Biden team were like 10 points ahead in the polls, which was a very big lead. And, the election's in a month now. But people have already started voting. That's another thing. People have been mailing in and voting. Like, a lot of people have done early voting. So that's a good sign for them. So it was high expectations, because the debate was so bad before. They're like, okay, she's the new entity in this debate. Obviously, we've seen Mike Pence in 2016. So she had high expectations, and she delivered. She did what she needed to do. And Mike Pence also delivered. He had a very low bar because of Donald Trump. But in a way, his job was to basically not make it go any worse than it already has been already, because the campaign is just spiraling out of control. The Trump having COVID thing just has made it even worse as well. Him going back to the White House, and people don't know if he's going to do debates and wants to do campaigning, releasing all these videos. So it's his job to literally just stop the rot, stop the bleeding, stop hemorrhaging votes. Just put in a good performance, and he did that. And I thought he put in a good performance um, in the debate. So, actually, I think we should go through the tweets that I made first, just to see what I said and see if it happened, because I feel like that's probably a better way. And then anything else we need to discuss, I'll discuss at the end. So I said in my first tweet, I think tonight will be a big test for the Y coalition Biden and Harris are looking to build for election day. From Cindy McCain to AOC, There won't be Trump shouting from across the room this time. Pence is a statesman and has more appeal to the Republicans willing to temporarily switch sides. He could remind them of what they're missing and with the right questions get down to Harris's positions and what she stands for. This might plant the seed of doubt in Republicans who might vote for Trump last minute on election day. So I think with this, I think that was correct of what these were like predictions. I think that held up because I feel like Trump. Well, I feel like with Pence, he did a good job at reminding Republicans what a Republican is. Like he just seemed like just a normal Republican that you would normally hear for. He had some lines which were echoing of Trump kind of language and sentiments, but really he held up to their values, and it was kind of like from his perspective, it was the Republicans versus the Democrats in this kind of framing the argument. If he were to say that when he was attacking Kamala, it was on different positions which are problematic to Republicans, such as the Supreme Court, abortion. He talked about his faith and his values. Also, international politics, foreign policy, and trade. A lot of things at the economy, which is a big thing for Republicans. A lot of things he was kind of just reminding the Republicans, like what it is to be Republican. And he didn't really mention Donald Trump that much. I guess in a way, saying the president is a veil because it's kind of like the Republican president, not really saying Donald Trump. So I feel like for me, the play was those voters who, I said the wide coalition between Sidney McCain and AOC, those Republicans who are switching over to Biden, is kind of a play to kind of remind them, like, you're a Republican, and try and get the differences from what Kamala was going to bring, try to expose her so that it makes sure they think, oh no, but she's not, I can't go along with them, as in the Democrats. He even brought AOC up in at one point. But I feel like it was interesting because from Kamala's bit, she kept on saying Joe, I know Joe, or Joe and I, or she talks about herself and Joe. She really didn't really bring up the Democrats in general. I don't even think, I would like to go through the transcript because I like to think that she brought up the word Democrat because I don't remember her saying it. She just kept on saying Joe wouldn't have done that. Joe would have done this, or Joe and I. It was just a lot because I think she knows that the selling point of getting all of these Republicans to vote for them is that they trust in Joe Biden and they know that he's not one of the radical left, etc., etc. She didn't shy away from, progressive policies. I mean, she did, but she didn't like row back on it. But then she just didn't shout from the top of her lungs about it. Which, let's say, in the Democratic debate, she probably had to. So it was just interesting because she was in a way framing it like it was Joe and Kamala against Pence and Donald Trump. And I was listening to CNN, they were saying that one of the Republicans was saying that she didn't call President Trump, she called him Donald Trump. I think she probably might have, but a lot of the time she was saying Donald Trump, because at the end of the day, in 2016, there was two candidates who were polarizing and people didn't like, but people didn't understand how much they didn't like Hillary Clinton or how much political capital she'd wasted because she's been in the public eye for so long. I feel like before the formula used to be, marry someone who's in politics, be around politics, let people know your name and then they'll get used to you. But now I feel like it's the opposite. Nobody wants people who've been in politics for so long. That's one of the turn-offs of Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is a new face, so it helps her in that way. There's not a lot of political baggage there, whereas for Hillary there was. So people didn't realize how much they didn't like Hillary, and that was a unifying factor to voting for Trump. But now Joe Biden is not really someone you hate. You can make fun of him, you can say he's old, you can say da 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 da, you can say the Democrats, but he's not a hate figure. And at the end of the day, these elections are about emotion. It's sad that it's got to it. That's what it's about. Emotion. It's either love or fear. Donald Trump used the fear mongering in 2016 to win, as did, I'm sure, the Brexit people did as well, with the scapegoating on migrants, etc. So it's interesting that Kamala had to go to Donald Trump, like say Donald Trump's name, because to those Republicans again who are leaning over to voting for Joe Biden, that is their unifying factor, that they don't want Donald Trump in the White House. She can't attack Republican values, even though she did sometimes, but she always linked it to Trump because you can't attack Republicans when you know you've got Republicans who are part of your coalition. It doesn't make sense. So she did a good job at focusing on him and making out, she brought up his tax returns that he only paid $750 in tax, which is crazy small amount, and that he owes $400 million, which is a crazy large amount. Being in debt by $400 million is a lot of money. And she also said some other bits. I mean, the bit about healthcare I thought was really good. I felt that was one of the strongest bits in the debate, where she was like, if you've got pre-existing conditions, which COVID is now probably going to be one of them. If you've got someone who's had breast cancer, who's had diabetes, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. They're coming for you. And it was like, it was just really good the way she delivered it. I think on coronavirus she did really well as well, because at the end of the day, the administration has no answers on that. Like, they have no answers, and she was saying the point about that they knew from January, they knew that this disease was going to be deadly, and it was going to be viral, but they kept it from you. And then she said that Mike Pence said that Donald Trump didn't want to worry anybody. But it's just, think about it. I feel like she could have done more explaining the time difference, because we're in October now. Just think about in January. January seems so long ago, and I'm not gonna get into COVID stuff because it's kind of depressing. But just think, if you knew from then what you could have done to stop so many things from happening, so many people being unemployed. There's just a lot of things going on. So I think she was strong on there. But I thought Mike Pence did hold his own, and I was saying also. Well, let me read out the other bits of the thread of the tweet. So in the next tweet, I said, Harris has had experience of debating in a chaotic field with multiple candidates, but not one in one. From the debate, she was great offensively, but struggled defensively. Once she was the front runner, Hearing on CNN, she's not trying to rip Pence apart, but she's trying to appeal directly to those at home. In the debates, this didn't seem like an obvious strong point. I'm talking about the Democratic debates. Warren was a candidate good at offense, defense, and also appealing to those at home. The busing moment, which was a viral moment that she had attacking Joe Biden on segregated busing, was a good example at this from Harris, but this was still an offensive move against Biden. It'll be interesting to see how Kamala gets on. I do think some viral moments are needed to cut through social media and the news cycle. Trump and others having COVID is big news. For both candidates to cut through, it has to be a good debate overall. It has to be good. Overall, debate should be better than Trump and Biden, which held up. So back to the point about her debating skills. I thought she impressed me. She did a lot better than I thought. It was kind of weird. Again, the format is very important, because the moderator would ask questions, and then Mike Pence would be like, I don't want to answer that. Not explicitly, but he'll be saying, I'm going to go back to this question. And he would just ignore it and then just say whatever he wants. So it was kind of like, what? And then, so when the moderator would say the same to Kamala, she would also say what she wanted. Like, there was one point where they were asking about the health of both candidates, since whoever takes office will be the oldest candidate that would ever have taken office. And then both of them just completely ignored it and said something. Kamala said, "Oh, so speaking about Joe, let me talk about how it was when he announced me as VP." I'm thinking, that's not the question she asked. She asked, if this guy dies, have you had that conversation? And she's there talking, it was a nice day. I'm thinking, what? But it was a good pivot, because at the end of the day, Mike Pence did it, so why can't you at the end of the day? But I thought it was really good, because both of them, which is why I underestimated Pence, both of them were able to read the room tonally. If Pence went on the offense, Kamala came up with a defense and came up with a strong defense. If the moderator put it into a sensitive topic, Pence has a really good soft tone, sensitive voice, and he really has very good orating skills. Like, it was just very good, and Kamala also followed that up. She had to continue matching. It was like shadow boxing, two boxers just really mirroring each other. So I thought that was a really good point in it, when they were talking about some of the soldiers who died, and she also, went into the emotive route, and then talking about race. Unfortunately, when they were talking about race, which was very unfortunate, I did say in the tweet that I think they need a couple of viral moments to cut through social media. Well, there was a fly on Mike Pence's head, which is not the viral moment, which I'm sure both campaigns wanted, but that was the funniest thing. It was annoying because, I thought the flag was gonna fly off, but then it just kept on staying there for like 2 minutes, and I couldn't concentrate on what they were saying. They were actually saying some good stuff about race, so I was just kind of like, oh, like I've just missed it. But luckily, it was towards the end anyway, so it was kind of good. And even then, there was a dog barking in the background. And I thought when I was watching it, like there was a dog barking outside my house, not knowing that like on social media, someone said like I just randomly saw someone tweet, "Is there a dog barking?" I'm thinking, wait, how did you know that? Not knowing that it's from the debate, so that was crazy. But um, this last week that I said was I'm always interested in psychology and politics. Visually, easy to paint Trump as incompetent due to his mannerisms and body language. Looks like he was trained with Putin. His stature doesn't scream incompetence, and neither does his tone. Trump Pence duo could be a good cop bad cop dynamic, which I think also happened. I didn't know when they were talking about the builder. I didn't know that he was a radio TV host in Indiana where he's from before he came. So the voice thing, I can definitely hear him like not putting it on, but he definitely knows that's his strong point. And that's what I mean. Again, he's trying to not soften the Republican band to make him like cuddly warriors. He was still saying the points that he needed to, but the normal Republicans, he was just trying to like remind them, you know, we're Republicans. Like I'm still the Republicans. You know what I mean? But yeah, he definitely was in, and it was kind of creepy at some points because he would just lie or say something rude or like, but you're just saying in a soft tone. I'm thinking you're just lying in a soft voice and talking very slowly. I can't. I hope people aren't actually getting roped into this. But I think people, you know, there was a bit. This is one thing that I want to address, and people were kind of like, oh, you know, she could have pummeled him. She could have attacked him. Like I remember Rick Santorum on CNN was like, you know, Pence did well. I don't think Kamala had landed any blows on him. But I was like, you know, but in the debates, in the Democrat debate, when she landed a blow on Biden, it made her shoot up, but it didn't last for long. It was a viral moment, but it didn't last for long. And at the end of the day, her campaign ended before we even got to Super Tuesday. So that's not a good um, tactic. And the gender politics is very interesting, which took part in the debate as well. Because in the beginning, Pence acknowledged the fact that her being there was historical, you know, because of her race, because of her gender. He said it was a very genuine moment, and apparently they called each other or something like that and congratulated. It was a very human moment. But the fact that he not acknowledged that puts me to think that other things that he did during the debate were intentional. For example, he said a line like, "You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts." I'm thinking, this is Donald Trump's White House, the guy who lies every day and just makes up stuff on the spot just because he was saying the other day that he wants there to be a vaccine before the election. Huh? How can you vaccinate 300 million people in less than a month when you don't even have a vaccine which is proper? Like, and then he was saying, he's just saying all of these lies about COVID here and there, whatever. He's out here saying that he's better. You don't survive COVID in 3 days, but hey. I'm thinking Donald Trump lies so much. Like the fact that Mike Pence said that, I was just really like, I felt triggered. And then another point, he was like, "You're playing politics with people's lives." I'm thinking, yo, the Republicans really made marches about people with masks on. Like the Republicans were genuinely playing politics. Like Donald Trump was even like, "Okay, I'll sign a stimulus bill for COVID after the election." But we clearly know he doesn't want to sign it before the election because he doesn't want to tank the economy anymore. So it's kind of like you guys are the ones who continuously playing politics. But I do think he was trying to trigger Harris because at the end of the day, when Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton went up against each other, people who didn't like Hillary said that she looked arrogant, she looked smug, the faces she would pull. So it was very good for Kamala that her facial expressions were never angry, they were never attitude. There were a lot of times she was smiling, but in a nice way, or the way she was looking at him, like it wasn't aggressive, it wasn't arrogant, it was literally just normal. And I think she knew a lot about the gender politics because even there were so many things she could have gone after him, but then people would call her bitchy, people would call her the angry black woman. Her tone was always great, and she always was more saying things to the camera, to at home, about Donald Trump and about Mike Pence, rather than getting into spats with him. He cut her off a lot, but she didn't cut him off at all. And obviously, I'm also interested in the the psychology of people's voices. Having a deeper voice, you can easily cut off the moderator, who's a woman, and Kamala Harris, and get away with it. But when you have a woman's voice, which is light, higher pitch, it it doesn't go well when you try and cut people off, because it sounds like people are just arguing. Which is why it was good that she didn't really do that much, but she was able to assert herself when she was speaking. That's why it's good that if you have someone who's good at speaking, it shouldn't matter, because when you speak, it holds weight. The things that you say will remain in people's head. That's why people who are like Donald Trump, who doesn't have to be the loudest person in the room, who makes the most sense. And yeah, so it was good that, you know, she took that into account. And people saying, "Oh no, she didn't knock him out." Well, it was a good thing, because they're ahead like more than 10 points in the polls. It's too risky to let anything go. But at the end of the day, both these candidates, to me, have made it clear that they're not a drag on this ticket, that they're both assets in this ticket. I do think that Harris won just because I thought the stuff that Mike Pence was literally just lying almost every single time. He was just lying and making stuff up almost every single time. So it was kind of a bit hard for me to say, yeah, he won. But he came across as competent. He came across as like normal. And I do think that he made sow the seed of doubt in the Republicans who willing to vote for Biden. But there's so much time to go. There's literally a month, and a month is so long. There might be some other debates that might get cancelled. I don't know. Debates in general, I don't think have a massive impact on what's the actual outcome is going to have. So I really don't know what's going to happen next. But both of them just did what they needed to do. Unfortunately, with the news cycle, the fly being on Mike Pence's head is what's got caught up, and also Trump having COVID. That's another thing that I was saying about the cutting through. Like, this was a good debate, but is it going to cut through when Trump has COVID and every day we have to, like, there's a possibility that he could die. He's very old. Like, he could get really sick. We don't know. So the news cycle is just not gonna, you know, not gonna pick it up. But it's okay. There's so much time left in this election. We don't know. So they both did well. And I'm gonna need you guys to like, comment, subscribe with this video. Hit me up in the DMs. A lot of you have been DMing me on Twitter. I was doing live commentary during the debate. Got a couple good responses. Sometimes you just comment on people's stuff and get a couple likes here and there, which is good. But I'll catch you guys next time with the next thing that happens. I don't know if it'll be the debate. It'll more likely be maybe the state of the race, and also some of the Senate races, and what places could flip, and that should be very interesting. So I'll catch you guys later.